Tomorrow I'm breaking off my engagement. I found out my fiancé cheated with her boss. I'm not sure of his age, but he's in his mid-40s, while she was 24 and I'm 25. I also know he's married and he has 3 kids. This happened last November on a work trip while out of town. They made love 3 times. How do I know? Well, her boss's wife messaged me on Facebook and told me, and provided me with dozens of screenshots of texts and emails between them, graphic discussions about how they cheated on us, and how they got over on us, and they joke about it. But then she'll tell him in the same texts that she loves me, so this can never come out. The boss's wife, who seems very sweet, I've met her at company functions before, is also enraged and heartbroken and is having him serve with divorce papers tomorrow. She's also going to drop a friendly email to their HR department. So I'm sitting here on my phone typing this, and she's across from me on the sofa using her computer, planning a honeymoon trip for a wedding she has no idea is never going to happen. She's completely oblivious to the fact that her life is going to fall apart tomorrow. I don't feel any sympathy at all since mine fell apart last week, and every time I read those texts and emails I feel like someone is impaling my heart. 3 years down the drain. I'm just thankful I found out before we got married. I guess there's that to be thankful for. She has no idea, but I took a vacation day tomorrow. After she leaves for work I'm going to go around my place and collect up all her stuff, box it up and have it sitting by the door. Then I have to figure out if I can get any of the money I've already laid out for the wedding back. It was supposed to happen in October, but yeah, that's not happening. And when she comes home I'm going to throw her out of my apartment and out of my life. I've debated posting all those screenshots on her Facebook page, but my sister talked me out of it. I also debated calling her parents. I feel bad for them as they are such great people and I'm going to miss her family. They've accepted me as one of their own and I don't know what they're going to say, but I've decided that she can explain herself to them. I don't want to hear her excuses or her lies. At this point I just want her out of my life so I can figure out what the hell I'm going to do with the rest of my life. Update. While I cannot believe the response this post has gotten, I can safely say the bomb has dropped. Around 8 or so my phone started going nuts. Calls from her with voicemails after each call. I knew right away what was going on, so I immediately called my sister to tell her that it was happening. She told me to stay strong and if I wanted her to she would come to my place and sit with me, so she's doing that. Then I had a very difficult phone conversation with my ex's mother. Jesus, I can't believe I have an ex now. Difficult because this woman has done nothing to deserve the pain I could hear in her voice. Her whole family has been nothing but accepting of me since day one. I calmly as I could explained the situation to her mother and told her that I can't find it in myself to forgive this and that I'm going to be asking her to move out. Although she was very upset, her mother seemed to understand why I feel this way. She offered as well to come to my place and help my ex get her things. I think this is a pretty good idea. Then I texted a few of my closest friends about this situation. I've been getting bombed with texts from them since, but have said as soon as I can I will talk to them, but right now I'm completely overwhelmed. I listened to one voicemail from my ex and it was what I expected, crying and asking me to call her because we really need to talk. I called her back and she didn't answer, so I started to text her when she called me. Immediately she's telling me how sorry she is. Why did I call her mom? Why did I involve other people? So I lost it and asked how she thinks I feel having to go get tested for STDs because my fiancé cheated on me. Do you know how embarrassing that is? So at least she didn't deny what she did. I told her she needs to come this afternoon and get her stuff out of my place. That we are finished, she said. We'll talk more later, but I cut her off and said there's not a whole lot to talk about, is there? I also asked her how her and this guy could talk shit about me and his wife, like they made fun of her for gaining weight after having 3 kids. This poor woman didn't deserve this. I didn't deserve this. I also said something to her about not trying to say she felt pressured because the guy is her boss. Her texts show clearly that she was a more than willing participant in all this. I guess she's got to meet with HR at work today and the whole place is gossiping about the 2 of them. I can't feel sorry for either of them at this point. I'm already emotionally drained and it's not even 10 a.m. where I'm at. So once she's done with her HR meeting, I guess she's going to come here and get her stuff. I'm hoping it goes without much drama. My sister should be here and I hope her mom comes with her. My landlord also says she'll be around and she's also going to have my locks changed hopefully either this afternoon or tomorrow. I know this is like a long babbling post, but I was trying to remember a lot of things I said and my mind is raving right now.
My brother-in-law gave my disabled little sister a brutal reality check which caused her to have a breakdown. My parents have 3 kids, Maya, me, and Sally. The problem is Sally. When she was born she had some form of medical condition which led doctors to believe that she wouldn't survive at all. But my parents never gave up. They spent all their money and time for her treatment and a miracle happened. She survived but now has brain deformities which impede her ability to socialize and she is completely unaware of anything, but she is alive. Since then they have coddled Sally to death. Sally always had to have the best things, and I had all the hand-me-downs, which I didn't mind, but it sucks that I was the forever neglected middle child. But my sister Maya took most of it. Maya was the oldest and the scapegoat. For some weird reasons, Sally was always in competition with Maya, and I am sure my parents also pitted them against each other too. Maya was always supposed to behave and never complain, while Sally was a brat. If Maya had a dollhouse, Sally had a bigger dollhouse. If Maya did something good, my parents would just say good job and go on about their life. But if Sally even won a participation trophy, they would basically throw a party. Since then, Maya has been walking on eggshells around my parents. She would always be grounded and we cannot even complain that Sally has been bullying us because she is a special child. Sally was also awful towards me. She would often abuse me and even steal my stuff and my parents won't do anything. And like I mentioned, Sally was always in competition with Maya. If Maya wanted to participate in music, she would too. I remember Maya saying in high school that she has a crush. What does Sally do? make out with that crush in front of Maya. My parents didn't even save enough for college for either of us, but luckily for Maya, she got on scholarship. I had to take out a loan. The last straw for Maya was when she was dating this guy in college. She brought him home when they were on vacation. She caught Sally and him doing the deed in the basement. It was a shitstorm. My parents did berate Sally, but after a few days they were like, what happened just happened. It will be wrong to separate these lovebirds. That was it for Maya. She screamed at them that she has endured their abuse for all these years, but not anymore. She cut off contact. There was a lot of tension. Some of my uncles and aunt were divided. Sally was just as shameless as she was and went on to date Maya's ex. Maya eventually got over it and met a nice guy and got married. She did invite our parents, but not Sally. My parents didn't go, but I did. Now she is currently pregnant with her first child. My parents reached out to her and although Maya was skeptical, she agreed to reconcile. So, our family has this big dinner once a year at their place where all the relatives and cousins are invited. Maya came along with her husband, Adam. Sally was also there with her husband, Maya's ex. Throughout the evening I noticed Sally tried to be closer to Adam, but he would just shove her off. When it was time for dinner, my parents made a toast. Then Sally stood up and said that she was so lucky to be here and that she almost died when she was young, something she has said over and over for pity. She then redirected to Maya and said, sis, I know it must be hard for you because your ex is now my husband, but thanks for the blessing. I know it must be hard for you to be here knowing how hard it was for you to compete with me, but I applaud your bravery. This was the moment Adam stood up and shouted at Sally, saying how dare she insult his wife. Who does she think she is? Then the word vomit started. I am just paraphrasing it. You think you are so special because you were a miracle baby. Guess what? I was a miracle baby too, but I don't scream about it like you do. You are such a pathetic woman that the only achievement in your life you have is something that was accidental. What else do you have to show for? Everything you have was basically borrowed from my wife. Even your pathetic husband who spent the entire evening hitting on every female cousin in this room. You are so annoying even your husband doesn't like you. You know what the truth is? You have nothing and you're nothing. You are so shameless and pathetic that you tried to hit on me. You already got her ex and now you want her husband. I would rather die than be with a woman like you whose personality is worth a paper bag. You have always been jealous of my wife because you always knew you would never be as amazing as she is. That's why you stole from her because that's the only way you could have what she has. Sally was in tears.
I told my stepfather who raised me that he is not my dad because he didn't treat me like his son. My mom married my stepfather when I was only 1 year old. He had a biological 1-year-old son, and then they had a daughter a year later together. My stepbrother and I are 16 and our half-sister is 14. Stepfather is the only father figure I ever knew and I've always called him dad. My actual dad is not in my life. Growing up I always noticed that he treated me differently. He never mistreated me, but he was always more interested in his own children than me. In fact, he always showed very little interest in me. I've always felt like a second-class family member to him. My mom treats my stepbrother exactly like me but stepfather doesn't do the same for me. Anyway, this last couple of years have been difficult because my stepfather started doing stuff with my siblings, like going on trips, going fishing or hiking, father-children bonding moments as he calls it. Their whole family looks forward to the trips and always have a blast. They come back from every trip with seems like hundreds of stories. He's never taken me with him despite me always asking to go. Initially he always said maybe next time until I called him out last week and he took me aside and explained that this is for him and his children. I'm not his child like they are. He said he loves me but it's different. Hearing this from him completely shattered my heart. I've always knew he felt that way, but hearing it in words is a different level of pain. He said that he can't dilute the experience by bringing me as well, but he said my mom can spend some other child moments with me and my sister if she wants to as well, and that it would be good for us to have that only for us. This conversation happened on Friday before they went off for a weekend trip. My mom told me that this is how he feels. She can't change it but she's made sure I'm always treated equally when it comes to money, which has been true, but she can't change the way he feels so I need to accept it. I've been thinking all weekend and it was clear to me that if he doesn't see me as his son, it's wrong of me to see him as my dad. It's clear that I'm the stepchild he tolerates because of my mom. I'm not going to pretend like we're anything more. I decided to stop calling him dad and go by his first name. So on Sunday night after they returned I said, "Hi Tom." He was surprised but didn't say anything. At dinner he asked me what was that about and I explained that I don't want to dilute the experience he has with his real children by calling him dad when clearly I'm not his son. It's something that should be kept for his actual children. I was told to go to my room by my mom. Later she came to me and said this has hurt him and I should apologize. I said that I was just following his lead and treating him exactly like how he wants to be treated by his actions. He should look in the mirror because that's his actions. My mom told me in the end that this is the man who has raised me all my life and I need to apologize and show my remorse. She says he's 95% of the way for being a dad to me. I shouldn't ignore all of that and focus on the missing 5% and reject him entirely. I declined, said he's the one who needs to apologize if he wants things to change between us. Am I in the wrong? I gave my dad his money back in front of his other kids and told him he was no longer welcome at my graduation. My graduation ceremony is being held next week. My dad had given me some money in advance to pay for the party. I live mostly with my mom but they were supposed to be hosting the event together. My dad and I have a very rocky relationship, but that wasn't always the case. After my parents divorced when I was 5 they split custody of me, and he was able to stay a good dad. But when I turned 10, my dad met Jane. Jane had 3 kids, twins and a single kid. They got married when I was 12, but I would say even before that I felt like he prioritized her kids over me. He started canceling plans with me if his other kids wanted to do something. He would either do things with them or force me to go and say it was even better than our plans, when in reality it wasn't. Like going for a hike with me versus taking them to an indoor play area. Or seeing a movie with me versus the kiddie park. One more example is when I was given a ticket for a concert to see a band that my dad and I both love. He was supposed to buy a ticket to come with me for some quality father and son bonding time. But instead, he bailed out on me and spent money on his youngest stepkid who wanted their room painted instead. He told me it the same day and it hurt so much because I missed spending time with my dad. There are other times stuff like this happened. He didn't show up at the hospital to see me when I broke my arm because his stepkid was getting their tonsils out and wanted both him and his wife there. He told my mom over the phone to tell me he was proud of me for being so brave and understanding, even though I never said that BS. When I would bring this stuff up he told me that it was natural to feel jealous of sharing his attention. That was all he would say. In 2019 he told my mom he would split the cost of a trip I wanted to go on with my friends because she didn't have the money all by herself. Mom had her half saved. We told my dad he needed to pay. He said bills were tight and it was the twins' birthdays and the money needed to go towards them. He told me we could do something as a family when the trip happened instead. I told him to forget it, and obviously he was making it clear who was more important in his life. I said that I was going to stay with my mom where I actually mattered. Mom borrowed money to cover the other half of the trip. My dad told me he regretted making me feel less important and we were working on things and then the graduation money was given about a month ago. Then a week ago he called and told me how one of the stepkids was being bullied, how bad of a time they're having it, and with that money they could help cheer them up for their birthday. I was fuming. I hung up the phone. 2 days later I showed up at his doorstep, gave him the money and told him I didn't want to see him or his new family at my graduation, and that he had chosen who was more important so he better stay out of my life and I don't want to see his face ever again. His stepkids and 2 younger bio kids were there. I didn't stick around. He called and told me we needed to talk it out like adults, and that I had hurt the kids' feelings. His wife freaked out on me so I blocked her. Am I the jerk?